1936, the prison was a sprawling 47 acres situated on the east side of town, with the Missouri River running directly to the north and neighborhoods surrounding its other three sides. Known as the Wall for the massive stone retaining wall snaking its perimeter, it housed a number of infamous inmates during its 168 years, such as boxer Sonny Liston, who learned to box while imprisoned there, and gangster Pretty Boy Floyd. James Earl Ray escaped from this prison in a bread box, eventually leading to the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. The prison was decommissioned in 2004 and is currently under renovations as a museum, business park, and haunted bed and breakfast. As filmmakers, we weren't focused on the history of the place as much as we were making our movie. None of us even considered that it might be haunted, and we paid little attention to our surroundings until our surroundings demanded our attention. Cell Block 4 had a lot to say, and it started with cell doors closing themselves, lights that went off and on, and finally with a blast of wind in a closed building that was strong enough to knock shelves off the wall and equipment everywhere. All of this happened before the sun even went down. Once it was dark, and it got very dark in there, lights continued to turn off and on, and our equipment batteries were draining very quickly. At one point, my still camera disappeared into the dark abyss. After 20 minutes of searching with flashlights, the camera reappeared in the same place I left it, but someone or something took these two pictures while it was missing. We've had them analyzed, and there is no reason for the overexposure or for the odd coloration. These photos cinched it. I had to go back, and I was taking my brother with me. When we returned, we were not disappointed. There we were, locked down in what Time magazine referred to as the bloodiest 47 acres on U.S. soil, and we were spending the night. The massive complex was difficult to cover efficiently, but we knew where some of the hot spots were, and we were escorted by guards who had been around for a while.
We were in the office over at the old garage. We were sitting there just kind of letting the time go by and drinking coffee, and there's a whole box of locks that they've used in the old prison. These locks are pretty heavy. Anyway, they jumped about 3 feet out of this box and landed out here on the cement floor.
And you got to watch this?
Yep. And we were surprised that happened, you know. Jack and I were sitting there at the door. The garage door was up one night. Let's see, Jack was on outside patrol, and I was sitting there watching the gate, and his dog barked, and it sounded like he was right behind me.
While we was working there one night, the one door would creep open so far, and then you could hear kind of a dragging, and then the door would kind of shut.
I'd drive around that old hospital, and you'd see out of the corner of your eye, you thought you saw something. Then you'd look straight ahead and you wouldn't see anything.
I caught movement, but when I looked back, it wasn't there.
Yeah.
You know, and that's when I kind of questioned myself. Now, did you really see anything or not? Well, you know how fast things move around here. Have you heard noises during the day that you couldn't explain?
Oh yeah.
See, I never was through here during the day or inside the buildings where I could explain any of that. But
Yeah, there's always stuff inside the buildings. You know, sometimes I'll know what it is just because I know how buildings are built. But a lot of times there's no real rational explanation of what the noise is.
One of the most unusual EVPs we have came from the pre-tour that night when we stopped off at the gas chamber for some B-roll footage. Our camera crew set up next to the macabre building a few feet away from me, but I decided to take the walk. Listen closely as I take my first step onto the path. Did you hear the strange horn and the singing? Listen again. Remember, there was another camera crew with audio running only a few feet from me. You saw me walk past them. Their audio didn't pick up anything but crickets. Cell Block 4 was quite lively again that night too, producing some of the best orb footage we've ever seen. These clips were taken from about 40 minutes of film from a stationary camera. It was shot on a Sony Handycam with Super Night Shot, which means it was shot in infrared at a very low shutter speed. This setting will allow for very low lighting, but it's kind of grainy and slow. We thought to begin with that this might be dust or hair, until it started doing this. Altogether, we ended up with a little over 2 minutes worth of footage of this anomaly out of approximately 40 minutes worth of film. That's actually quite a lot.